Channel 7, Carthage, Watertown.
It's Mercy Hospital's last night as an emergency care facility as the hospital gets out of the acute care business. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Christopher. In less than an hour, Mercy Hospital will no longer have an emergency department. The facility will transfer all of its acute care services to the House of the Good Samaritan by Friday. Mercy began the phase-out last Thursday. Now, tomorrow, the emergency department will be gone. Wednesday, new patients will be turned away. And Thursday, ambulatory surgery will no longer be available. Mercy Hospital had planned to make the transition to primary care by the end of the month, but because of staffing problems, the facility was forced to make the change sooner. Mercy Hospital has turned down a purchase offer from the House of the Good Samaritan. Mercy's board of directors rejected that bid on Friday, saying the offer was just too low. HGS President Robert Kaiser says he's not sure why the bid was turned down, but that he's not worried.
It's really too early to be disappointed. These kinds of discussions tend to have a number of facets to them, and our trustees are going to have to evaluate the response that Mercy gives us later this week and see how we proceed from there.
Officials won't say just how much money HGS was willing to spend. A Jefferson County family of 6 is homeless tonight after fire damaged their Town of Pamelia house. Volunteers from at least 7 departments responded to the Donald Ring Jr. residence shortly before 2 this afternoon. 3 people were home when the blaze broke out in a clothes dryer. The interior of the Military Road house sustained extensive smoke and water damage. The family says it will be staying with a relative until repairs are made there. Well, if you've been having problems making long-distance phone calls today, you are not alone. A New York telephone construction crew accidentally cut a cable in Central Square this morning. That has affected long-distance service to everyone in the 315 service area. Even some people in Plattsburgh have been affected. New York telephone officials say, though, that the problem has been fixed at this hour. Well, in world and national news, another plane load of foreign hostages has been released from Iraq. A plane touched down in Charleston, South Carolina earlier this evening. On board, more than 300 men, women, and children who have been held captive in Iraq for the past few weeks and in occupied Kuwait. Word tonight that Iraq may be suffering internal strife and that Iraqis may be divided over Iraqi President Saddam Hussein's leadership. Diplomats say Hussein has ordered the execution of 5 elite officers from his own presidential guard. The reason? Suspicion that they were plotting against him. Now, envoys say that there apparently is evidence of presidential plots against Hussein, but they warn that he is still in control there. Well, Hussein's troubles mounted today as he got an earful from the 2 most powerful men in the world. Presidents Bush and Gorbachev met for 7 hours today in Finland and emerged united, roundly condemning Iraqi aggression. CBS correspondent Dan Raviv has that story.
They were determined to show a united front, and that's just what they did. Mikhail Gorbachev starting the day on a symbolic note, a gift to Mr. Bush, a framed cartoon showing the 2 presidents as boxers, together defeating the Cold War. Now, of course, they're out to lick Saddam Hussein. While the superpower leaders met without their top aides, their wives visited a grand old Finnish library together, part of the new spirit of harmony. After a total of more than 7 hours of summitry, the 2 presidents failed to specify any new steps to confront Iraq, but they pledged to do it together.
That this statement showing the Soviet Union and the United States in essential agreement here is another good statement for Saddam Hussein, and hopefully he will see that he is not going to divide us and divide other countries, and that he will do what he should have done some time ago, and that is comply with the United Nations sanctions.
What has been done up till now in answer to Iraqi aggression is very important because action has been taken not only within the framework of the Security Council, but there has been unanimous world opinion, a kind of solidarity which has never been expressed before in the history of the world.
There was talk of stronger sanctions, but also a concession here that food can be shipped to Iraq as long as international agencies make sure it goes to hungry children. Mr. Bush and President Gorbachev ignored this broadcast message from Saddam Hussein, which vowed that Iraq will never give up Kuwait. In fact, as the new Air Force One took Mr. Bush back to Washington, and Mikhail Gorbachev set out on a short journey to Moscow, they have both staked their reputations on getting Iraq out of Kuwait. Dan Raviv, CBS News, Helsinki.
Coming up on Newsite, we'll take you to the birthday party held this morning by one of the North Country's oldest congregations for one of the North Country's oldest churches. And we'll take you up, up, and away to see the Thousand Islands from the air in a hot air balloon.
It's September. Do you know where your long underwear is?
Darling, where's my long underwear? Darling, where's my long underwear? Darling, where's my long underwear?
Darling, 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 darling.
See your North Country Chevy Geo dealer today. Now's the time.
Charles Garlock and Sons. Oh, hi, Tom. Some 2x4s and 1x8 cut in the shop and delivered to Murray Island. No problem, thank you. At Charles Garlock and Sons, Alexandria Bay, you'll find a huge selection of quality lumber delivered to all the Thousand Islands. Oh, I forgot where Murray Island is.
The Republican candidate for governor says that if he's elected to the state's highest office, he will only take $1 a year in salary. In addition, Pierre Renfray says state lawmakers would not even get that much for their pork barrel projects. North Country legislators say they admire Renfray's commitment to balancing the budget, but they question his methods.
If we eliminate the pork barrel spending, then we have to make sure that it goes, these types of projects that we can adequately fund are put into the normal state budget, which is in a way where it should be.
Well, that's all we're talking about, is bringing home a fair share of that state budget. We're spending over $50 billion a year as taxpayers across this great state. I don't think there's anything wrong with the people of Northern New York having an equal and an equitable share of that money.
Renfray, on introducing a 4-year plan he claims will put the state back on sound financial footing, also called for a freeze on spending and workers' salaries. Well, Republicans in the St. Lawrence County town of Pierpont will be at the polls on primary Tuesday to select one of 2 candidates for highway superintendent. As Newsite's John Fryatt tells us, the campaign is centering on a question of qualifications and experience.
53-year-old Kenneth Tupper says he's seeking the highway superintendent job because he wants to see town equipment used more efficiently. Tupper is challenging acting highway superintendent Ben Porter in the Republican primary. A lifelong resident of Pierpont, Tupper feels his 28 years in the construction field, in addition to a 7-year stint as a laborer in the town's highway department, gives him the experience and qualifications for the post.
I started out from high school working for the town. I worked there 7 years. Since that time, I've worked on a variety of construction jobs, mostly road construction. And I think that gives me a broader experience base.
50-year-old Benjamin Porter is a 26-year veteran of the highway department and lifelong resident of the community. 5 of those years he served as deputy highway superintendent and more recently acting superintendent, replacing Gary Jones, who resigned last spring. Porter says he has firsthand knowledge of the day-to-day responsibilities of the job, which he considers to be a key factor in his qualifications.
I've done quite a lot of construction work for the roads, and I do with blasting, dynamite, plowing and sanding in the winter, and I know how the roads have got to be done.
County Board of Elections officials say there are 665 registered Republicans in the town eligible to cast their ballots on primary day. Polls will open on Tuesday at noon and remain open until 9 p.m. In Pierpont, John Fryatt, Newsite 7.
The United Way of Jefferson County will kick off its 70th annual fundraiser tomorrow. The goal for this year, $935,000. United Way provides funds for 24 member agencies. Well, one of those member agencies, Watertown's YWCA, won't be getting any more financial help once December rolls around. The United Way decided this year to drop the Y from its funding program because of what it called mismanagement. Since then, the Young Women's Christian Association has been trying to find alternate sources of funding. This weekend, the Y raised about $2,000 by holding an art auction and sale. The event featured works by well-known artists including Norman Rockwell, Jane Worcester Scott, and Leroy Neiman. The pieces were ranged in price from $35 to hundreds of dollars.
It certainly helps. We've got a long way to go, but it certainly, every little bit we can bring in is great, and it'll make a big difference for the fall, I believe.
Proceeds from the auction will go toward the YWCA's fall programs. Well, celebrities and politicians, the sons and daughters of immigrants, gathered today in New York City for a salute to their forefathers, the people who, from afar rather, who helped to build this country. It was the dedication of the Ellis Island Museum. Bands played and dancers performed on the steps of the buildings where millions of immigrants coming to America were once processed. Vice President Dan Quayle was there to cut the ribbon, and Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia led 49 adults and children through the oath of citizenship on a day marking a salute to the past.
We dedicate this wall of honor to all the people who came here before us and built this great country of ours.
Whether or not your ancestors came through this island as part of the largest mass migration ever known, we, of course, do share a common heritage. We are immigrants all.
Ellis Island was, of course, the gateway to America for the many immigrants who moved here from elsewhere around the turn of the century. Well, a new Miss America sat upon that throne today in Atlantic City. Miss Illinois, 25-year-old Marjorie Judith Vincent, said today that she's a romantic who, quote, wants it all, and plans to use her reign to help battered women. Vincent, the fourth black woman to become Miss America, told reporters that she doesn't think race is an issue in the pageant anymore. Vincent, a law student originally from Haiti, won last night in the pageant televised right here on WWNY. She took her victory walk while former longtime MC Bert Parks sang the title song, his first pageant appearance in 10 years. Well, coming up on News Site, we'll take you to a Big Bash birthday party held in Watertown today, a party for a building. And we'll show you some of the sights and sounds from this year's Italian festival. And we'll show you the view from above in the North Country as viewed from a hot air balloon. All that in our cool weather forecast. But first, a look at tonight's winning New York State Lottery numbers.
100 miles. That's how much farther you can travel on the highway in a Chevy half-ton pickup than you can in a Ford. Every 25 gallons of gas, 100 miles. Now, doesn't that hit close to home? Nobody's winning like
the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
At your nearby Kinney drugstore, we do everything we can to make your shopping a pleasure. Yes, it's Kinney people who make the difference. When you're looking for just the right greeting card or some special item, we can help. Making that film decision or choosing our first quality photo processing, Kinney people are there. We treat you like the very important person you are, our customer. From the Kinney family to your family, the best since 1903.
The sights and sounds of Italia were on display this weekend in Watertown. The annual Italian festival brought out the best, of course, in Italian food and drink and other wares. And, of course, there was also the best in music, and the tradition of the old country sounds a lot like this. Festival started Friday and ended tonight. Well, it was described as a huge birthday party today as hundreds of people gathered inside the Trinity Episcopal Church in Watertown for a very special event. Our Diane Herb reports.
Hundreds of parishioners gathered at the Trinity Episcopal Church on Sherman Street in Watertown Sunday morning to celebrate their faith and the 100th anniversary of the church.
For a church to celebrate its centenary in 1990, you know, it takes a lot of faith. And we have got a lot of faith. Because I am absolutely certain that in 2090, the gospel of Jesus Christ will still be preached in this place.
Although Sherman Street has been home to the church for 100 years, the congregation is much older. Parishioners attended Mass for more than 160 years. The first wooden church on Court Street burned to the ground. Parishioners outgrew the second church, which was also on Court Street. Today, there are 800 members in the congregation, and many of them were on hand for the birthday party.
They are happy, joyful, excited. It's like a homecoming. It's like a great family reunion, and of course it is. It's a family of Christ coming together.
In Watertown, Diane Herb, News Site 7.
We had a little cold weather this weekend. As a matter of fact, we had a record low yesterday and the lowest temperature reading in the United States. Not much better today, and a little rain thrown in the mix, but warmer temperatures and nicer days are ahead. We'll have all that coming up in the forecast. Stay tuned.
At the T.R. Chellis Agency, people are our business. People like you, people who live the American dream, pursuing life's goals while sharing the fruits of those labors. It's a good life, and you made it possible for your family. You're the person we protect with our policies at the T.R. Chellis Agency, because we share your belief in those strong values. The T.R. Chellis Agency, people are our business.
Hey, Magic, I bet you can't do that again. Got anything better? Well, bet you can't do that again. Now what? Whoa, no way you can do that again.
Watch me.
Mandarin orange slice. The magic is Mandarin. How'd you do that?
It's magic.
As we said, cold yesterday, 32 degrees in Watertown. Today it wasn't much better, but warmer temperatures on the way. Now let's take a look at how things were out there today, though. It was not a great day in the North Country. A little rain this afternoon, high of about 68 today, low 50 degrees. That was just before 6 o'clock tonight. Now it's about 55 degrees, the barometer at 30.03 and falling. The winds out of the west, rather, at 2 miles per hour. Let's take a look at temperatures around the state. The low in Plattsburgh and in Syracuse at 53. The high in New York City at 68. Albany's got 56. Binghamton's got 56. 57 in Buffalo and in Rochester. 55 here, as we said, and 54 up in Messina. Taking a look at the radar picture, you can see the rain that came through our area today. That's now moved off to the east, and there's nothing right off the western part of our area now. But as you can see, there's rain farther out to the west, and that's all part of a system that will be moving through our area. It's now centered over the western Great Lakes, but as tomorrow rolls around, we'll start to see some thunderstorms from that area and a little rain and some cooler temperatures. But it will be warm tomorrow afternoon, the calm before the storm, as it were. Taking a look at the forecast for tonight. Occasional rain, clearing overnight, patchy fog toward morning, so be careful if you have to drive early tomorrow morning. Low of about 55. The winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny and warmer, at least in the afternoon. High of about 75. It's better than we saw this weekend, and the winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, as we said, partly cloudy, a chance of rain as that system moves through. Low of about 55. Winds out of the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And our extended forecast for Tuesday, a mixture of sun and clouds, high of about 75 degrees. And our marine forecast for the lake and river tomorrow, winds out of the west, 10 to 20 knots, waves 2 to 4 feet. Yesterday, the Channel 7 No Stars took to the softball field against the Rensselaer Falls Firemen, and both teams came out winners in that contest. The No Stars, of course, beat the Rough Riders by a pretty wide margin. News Site's Alan Baker, photographer Jim Redmond, producer Mike Rainville all hit home runs and told us all about it. But the real winner, of course, was the Rensselaer Falls Volunteer Fire Department. They raised more than $500 to buy new rescue equipment. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. I spent last night at the Carrier Dome watching football.
That's right. And you've got football for us tonight. You've got baseball. You've got a virtual potpourri of stuff.
You know it's football season when the leaves start falling and it starts getting cold. That's the time, and we'll have highlights from all the football games coming up next, so stay tuned.
Come to
Alexandria Bay, the most exciting family resort area in New York State. Cruise the scenic Thousand Islands aboard an Uncle Sam's tour boat. They offer the largest selection of tours, including scenic and informational family tours and romantic dinner cruises. Alexandria Bay also offers outstanding waterfront accommodations right on the river at beautiful Pine Tree Point or Captain Thompson's Resorts. For information on resort accommodations, restaurant reservations, or dinner cruises, dial 1-800-ALEX-BAY for all your Thousand Islands information.
Nobody's done it like Donahue.
All right, Pilgrim. I want to ask you, how long have you been a critic?
I can't afford to die. I'd lose a lot of money on books.
What a dump. I don't think of myself as sexy. I'm trying to grow up. People said you're not talented when you showed your belly button.
Hey, I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world.
Nobody does it like Donahue.
Weekdays at 9 on TV7.
We're on the road again in the TV7 RV, courtesy of Dave Foster's RV Center in Watertown. Look for us in your community. We'll be traveling through the North Country and Canada as we take part in parades, county fairs, and special events. And don't be surprised if we stop you on the street to get your opinion for Street Talk.
We're coming to see you in the TV7 RV, courtesy of Dave Foster's RV Center in Watertown. Be looking for Cindy when Street Talk goes on the road.
Well, they may not have won a preseason game this year, but if today is any indication of how the rest of the season will be, the Buffalo Bills may well three-peat as champs of the AFC East. Today, Buffalo hosted the Indianapolis Colts and new millionaire quarterback Jeff George, who wasn't around for the end of this game. Second quarter tied at 3, the Bills take the lead for good. Jim Kelly hits Butch Roll on a 4-yard TD play, 10-3 Buffalo. The Bills led 16-3 in the third, but the Colts cut into that lead. Jeff George hits Stanley Morgan for a 25-yard TD strike, 16-10. Now, George was knocked out of the game in the third. As he was drilled, he suffered a slight concussion and thought he was in Detroit. Buffalo wrapped up the game in the fourth quarter on Thurman Thomas's TD run, 26-10 Bills. That was the final. The Jets, meanwhile, were looking to win one for first-year head coach Bruce Coslett against Coslett's former team, the Cincinnati Bengals, who led 3-0 in the second until Jets quarterback Kenny O'Brien found Al Toon for a 46-yard TD. 7-3 Jets up. Toon walks into the end zone. It was 10-3 Jets in the third when Boomer Esiason connected with Eddie Brown for a 10-yard TD play. 10-all at this point. New York came back and took a 17-10 lead when O'Brien hooked up with who else but Toon again, this time from 10 yards out, 17-10 Jets. But the Looney Tunes had to be sad after this one. The Jets lost to Cincinnati 25-20. In other action, this final just in, the Giants have defeated the Philadelphia Eagles by the final score of 27-20. Miami 3 better than New England. Kansas City nipped Minnesota 24-21. Washington all over Phoenix by the final score of 31-0. Green Bay with quarterback Anthony Dilwig defeated the LA Rams 36-24. Chicago threw up a goose egg against Seattle 17-zip. Tampa Bay in a surprise over Detroit 38-21. Cleveland nipped Pittsburgh 13-3. The Raiders defeated Denver 14-9 in a mild upset. Dallas won their first game at home under new head coach Jimmy Johnson, defeating San Diego 17-14. And Atlanta all over Houston 47-27. In football of a smaller scale, the Greater Watertown Pop Warner Football League held its season openers today at Watertown High School. The Dexter Lions blanked the Watertown Giants 32-0. South Jeff slipped past Carthage 13-6. And Lowville shut out Indian River 32-zip. To no one's surprise, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame topped this week's college football top 25 poll. The UPI version was released this evening, and the former #1, the Miami Hurricanes, fell to 10th after their loss to BYU last night. The rest of the top 10 looked like this. Florida State was second in this week's poll, followed by Auburn, USC, Michigan, Tennessee, Brigham Young, Nebraska, Colorado, and those Hurricanes. At the men's finals of the 1990 U.S. Open Tennis Championships today, 2 of the youngest players to ever face off in the finals took center stage at center court. The young Pete Sampras looked like a seasoned veteran against Andres Agassi. The 19-year-old needed only 1 hour and 42 minutes to beat the 4th seed in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, and 6-2, to become the youngest player ever and the lowest seeded player ever to win the U.S. Open. Sampras's rocket serve played a key role in his win. Expect to hear more from Pete Sampras in the near future. He's going to be a good one. Now on to baseball, and in the National League, the first-place Pittsburgh Pirates closed out their weekend series with the Montreal Expos in Pittsburgh, and we have some French highlights underneath. Scoreless in the second when Andres Galarraga drilled a 2-run home run over the wall in right center. 2-0 Spos. Now 3-0 Montreal in the third. Delino DeShields double to the gap in left center. Dave Martinez scored 4-zip. The Pirates trailed 4-1 in the fifth, but Jeff King made it a run-1 game with this 2-run blast. The Expos, though, would salt this one in the sixth on Mike Fitzgerald's dinger. As we check out the scoreboard, Montreal defeated Pittsburgh 9-5. The Mets lose another one. Philadelphia beat them today 6-2. San Francisco over Houston 5-1. San Diego defeated Atlanta 5-4 in 11 innings. The Dodgers over Cincinnati 6-4. And St. Louis leads Chicago 9-2 in the eighth. Meantime, in the American League, the Boston Red Sox were looking for the sweep at home against the pesky Seattle Mariners, but they wouldn't get it. The M's took a 1-0 lead on this Joe Hesketh wild pitch that allowed Jay Buhner to score. Then Harold Reynolds doubled to the left field corner. Edgar Martinez scored 2-0 M's. The M's would go on to a 3-1 victory. Oakland defeated the Yankees. Yeah, what's new? The Yankees haven't beaten Oakland yet this year, 7-3. Baltimore over California, 3-1. Toronto over Chicago, 6-1. Cleveland hammered Minnesota in a slugfest, 12-9. Detroit blanked Milwaukee, 5-zip. And Texas over Kansas City, 6-5. And you gotta love the 1990 football season already starting. Who are you rooting for?
Well, I'm a Raider fan from way back, and they won today.
That's right, a big upset over the Denver Broncos. What happened to John Elway today?
I don't know. The Giants look tough tonight, though.
The Giants look great tonight, and one big question people are asking themselves, will the LA Raiders be the LA Raiders or the Oakland Raiders? We'll find out pretty soon. Al Davis is going to make a decision in the next couple of days whether to move the team back to Oakland or keep them in the LA Coliseum.
We'll be watching that, of course. Thanks, Rob. Coming up next, ballooning in the Thousand Islands. Stay tuned.
Just what's so special about Murphy Brown? Could it be her nose for news?
Ew, coupons!
Is it her innate fashion sense?
Now let's hear you explain this dress, which, in my opinion, is on backwards.
Or her determined willpower?
I really want a cigarette.
Everyone wants to know.
What's the secret of your success?
Our own Murphy Brown explains.
Very funny.
Monday at 9 on TV 7.
There's something about designing women.
What? Oh, get along with you. Shut up!
They're sexy.
Ta-da!
Articulate.
Wow.
They got spunk.
I want it. I need it now.
And they tell it like it is.
All I wanted was meaningless sex. I would have stayed married to Ted.
The ladies of comedy have it all.
Amen and hallelujah to that.
So get ready.
I'm ready.
For Designing Women.
Monday at 9:30 on TV 7.
And finally tonight, a group of adventurers got a view from the top this weekend. The annual Alexandria Bay Hot Air Balloon Festival gave those with a penchant for heights and $100, a chance to ride up, and away over the Thousand Islands. Flights got off to a slow start Friday and Saturday as wind speeds made launching unsafe. Conditions did improve late yesterday, giving many first-time balloonists the opportunity of a lifetime.
The view is just absolutely spectacular over the Thousand Islands, especially on a nice clear day like this. So people tend to forget how high they are and just get overwhelmed by the view.
I'm so excited I can't really express it. The colors are getting me excited alone, but the fact that I'm going to be up in the air and just going, I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Are you just a little bit scared?
I'm a little scared. I'm afraid of heights, actually, but I'm forcing myself to do this.
Organizers say that while the balloons are capable of reaching heights of 10,000 feet, festival rides do not exceed 500 feet above the ground.
I got to take this time to wish Tom Christopher a happy birthday. Today's his birthday. He turned...
That's right. Let's just keep that to ourselves, shall we? And on that note, that's it for us. 30 seconds. Fine. You know, you can't get good cameramen these days. And that's it for us tonight. Ann Richter will be along tomorrow when it's not my birthday for the latest overnight news. We'll be back next week. See you. Good night.
From the capital of the Empire State, this is Broadcast New York.